Wow.
I'm Brad Hutchings, and this is the Break It Down Show.
I had my creaky old arm trying to throw the POW at you, and it just kept going forever.
Yeah, I had my creaky old voice trying to get that out, but I'll be better. It's all good. Got coffee, got water. We're good.
Yeah, so we're supposed to have Rod Collins on today, and hopefully Rod will pop in mid-show. But I've been wanting to talk to you on the show anyhow, Brad. And so this is maybe going to be a Brad Hutchings episode, everybody. Maybe it'll be Rod episode. Maybe it'll be Brad and Rod. Either way, I love being able to, one, scramble. Like it's fun in life to have a scramble like this. We're like, hey, oh no, what are we going to do? Rod's late. Rod's not here. Rod's okay. Rod's not, who knows, right? But we're going to put a show on today. Bam. And people are going to dig it. So here's what you want to talk to Brad. Brad knows a lot about the AI, all of the AI things.
The AI.
And he's been dealing. He made his own machine. Hold your machine up, Brad. He made a machine that is your own personal AI LLM generative algorithm machine, and that machine will allow you to have privacy. It'll do all the same types of things that Grok does with language. There it is, right there.
There's the original, and
the new one.
Here is what I thought was going to be the upgrade, but turned out not to be an upgrade. And I'll actually do a LinkedIn post about this.
Okay.
This
all right.
Let's call it a $300 price point. Call this a $400 price point.
Yeah.
This kicks this is little knuck butt.
Interesting.
Surprising. Yes.
Yeah.
Very
it's
surprising.
Funny. Hold up the one that failed and show me the ports on the back, if you would.
So this is Intel based. It's not ARM based.
Right.
It's got. By the way, these are absolutely perfect if you just need a Windows desktop to just do stuff with, like browse the web, do your write your stuff. Probably not video work. Not very good at video work, but I mean, if you wanted to stream to StreamYard, this would do wonderful with that. And it's super easy. In fact, it was easy for me to configure this as an appliance like the Raspberry Pi. I think I spent an hour and I had it working. And so my appliance recipe is good. It's just, what hardware can I throw at it? And it turned out investing more in hardware at the low end, not a great investment.
Okay, surprisingly. So let me back up because hold that thing up. Show me the ports again. This is where we start. Don't say anything. Let me talk. Okay, so here's the amazing thing is you went out and you spent legitimate money on a legitimate product, and you got these pieces because you had to assemble this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
no, I did not have to assemble this. This is pre-assembled. Okay. That's even better about it, right?
Okay. Either way, some guy that he's selling shovels, and he's like, I've made this machine, or I've made the pieces of this machine.
Yeah.
Someone somewhere in that whole mix is selling ports that you put on the back of things, and they sell an injected, molded, slatted, cooler finned thing. And so there's a zillion ways to make money. I was thinking about this when it comes to the A's stadium that everybody's so riled up about. And I was talking to a guy named Mitch, who's an economist. He's an A's fan. We were talking about the velocity of money as it goes out from a project like that. And then you just look at all of the money that goes into everything, right? So you buying that little prefabbed piece turns into revenue for somebody who's like, I just sell prefabbed pieces, or I just sell the female end of RJ45 connectors and HDMI connector, all these little things. You can make a lot of money just doing this absolutely invisible thing that is incredible, and it just all contributes to this velocity of money. So
GMK Tech, who makes this box, I would describe them as kind of a legit computer company in China. So they're not the Dell of China, but maybe they're the Compaq of China.
Right.
Like maybe they reached that level before, Compaq disappeared, right? So they make legitimate stuff, and they've identified this space, this low-end space that's, say, $200 to $400 as a place to try to sell these little computers. And they're very capable for what they're good at. I need compute, though, and it turns out that Raspberry Pi, British company, that ARM chip is a lot of power for very low money. And it turns out to be better for the task than a NUC that, costs, say, an additional $150.
Really? Mm-hmm. So when you use Raspberry Pi and the Llama software, and then a lot of this stuff is just your capability to take things that are commonly available and cobble them into something.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote the recipe for making an appliance out of this thing. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. When you take on one of these projects, you don't know where it's going to go. You're sort of like going in a common direction, maybe, and then you end up like, oh, that didn't work, but this will.
I think I try to develop my capability space. So, like yesterday, I released version 2 of my Mojo server open source software. Now,
okay,
very few people that are watching this will know what that is, but they could look that up, Mojo server open source, and they could go build Mojo server themselves, which is the software that this thing uses to do the LLM stuff. It's based on Llama CPP, a popular, like it's like the popular plumbing for this stuff. It's just Llama CPP. You've got to be a developer to make that work for you. I try to make it so you don't have to be a hardcore software developer to make this work for you if you're trying to build a solution. And then I actually build a solution. This becomes in my capability space. Call it my development talent stack, if you like Scott Adams's analogies for things. And then I can go out and I can look at, okay, here's this hardware that's priced this way. Can I get this to run on this? Yeah, I can get it to run on it. Now, how well does it run on that? What are the capabilities here? It turns out like this little NUC here, it's got an Intel N97 chip in it. It's sort of hyped as this great low-end chip that performs well. It doesn't perform very well.
Yeah.
Now, you take the chip that's in my laptop that I'm talking to you on right now, right? And you've got a comparable Dell XPS. I would call that like 10 times as fast. And in the the benchmark I use is you're in Dan White's episode, the transcript from that. You're in Dan White's episode on mining in Arizona, and it shipping my laptop performs 10 times better than this does with CPU. Now, if I turn on the GPU, the graphics processor that's in here, and use a small model, something that takes this thing 14 minutes takes my laptop 7 seconds. And that's summarizing that transcript, which is a brutal test of an LLM,
right? An
absolutely brutal test. But yeah, this is all in my capability space. I develop knowledge about it by trying it in different spots.
Yeah,
and that's and then I have some more knowledge about it, and then somebody wants to build an appliance. Well, I've got more options for them.
I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and I'm not trying to put my friend on Front Street. I'm just trying to understand this stuff. You get it. So that in that sense, I'm asking a question that might seem critical, but I'm not. So my friend says that they take a body of words and they say, give me and pick whatever AI service you want. Give me a good SEO laden synopsis of these 300 words and do it so that it will perform well on LinkedIn. Now, in theory, that all works. It makes sense to me. Like, yeah, it's going to look, and you're going to do it, and then put it. But you're already laughing like it doesn't work like that.
Okay. I mean, why am I laughing at it? I'm not really. I'm chuckling because it's a very specific request. Do it so it'll perform well on LinkedIn. It will give you an answer. And so, what's going on in your mind? The psychological game that's going on in your mind is, it gave me an answer, therefore it will perform well on LinkedIn. Now, we haven't established that, right? It's kind of like, let's go back to our favorite example, median debut baseball player. Give me the median debut baseball player. Yeah. It doesn't come back and tell you, I don't know how to do that. It gives you a name. The name is wildly off, like not even the right year, right? And you tell it, hey, go use baseball-reference.com. And it doesn't tell you that it can't actually go get the data from baseballreference.com to calculate it the way an actual person calculating this thing would do, right? It gives you an answer. So you assume in your head, I gave it the instructions, it followed the instructions. So that's exactly what's going on there when you say make it, so it'll perform well on LinkedIn. I mean, sure, that kind of moves the answer a little bit, but it's not. It doesn't give you something that'll provably do well on LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah. I had fun yesterday. I posted this thing where I wanted it. Well, I posted the announcement of Mojo Server version 2, and so in the comments of it, I had it make me. Maybe it was a picture of it. It was a picture. I had the Mojo server 2 make me an announcement for LinkedIn. And I said, make sure to include emojis and appropriate LinkedIn AI hype. And of course, it's got emojis and appropriate. It's absolutely not the announcement, a serious person like me would ever put anywhere. Right. But you know what? It's funny because it was definitely in the style of half the posts I see on LinkedIn. Meaning, telling me most posts on LinkedIn that you see now written by AI, people aren't writing them.
Yeah. Boy, there's a lot of garbaggio out there, right? Yeah, and you're right about that. I'm looking. So the answer here is, if you want to make a clip more present on LinkedIn, I guess you just you just accept the fact that it's going to be this thing with emojis and frogs licking flies or whatever it's going to be, because it's not about the quality of the post. It's about the things required to make the robot go, hey, that's pretty good. And then have it, agree with the other robot and handshake it and push it forward. So is that what we're saying?
Well, back in my day in computer science, the ethical problems we talked about were, hey, if you discovered a fast way to break encryption, to break strong encryption, right? Would you share it with the world academically? And the answer is hell no. I would break everybody's encryption, steal their stock tips, and go trade before they trade. That's what I would do. Okay. And I would do that until I got caught or until I got called out. And even then, I would just say, hey, man, I'm lucky. Nancy Pelosi's doing better. Okay. I'm not doing Nancy Pelosi level work here. I'm just good at this. Right. I would do that. And then if it was finally discovered that I was breaking people's encryption, well, okay, I've had my run. Right. But, it's kind of like if you figured out the secret to the algorithm on LinkedIn and you figured out the prompt to tell some AI to make your stuff perform well on LinkedIn because it had the right prompt or whatever else, you would use it. You would not share it. Right. That would be the right ethical move too, because once everybody's using it, it wouldn't work. So somebody might as well get the value out of it. There's no secret, Pete.
I use Opus Clip right now today. This is not an ad for Opus Clip. If anything, it's probably not an ad for Opus Clip, but AI that understands every pixel of your video. That's bullshit. The most powerful AI editing models that work for you on any video, but built for speed, accuracy, and creative flexibility. Now, look, they have a lot of tools.
Accuracy is bullshit too.
Yeah, that's all bullshit, right?
Right.
And so they'll tell you it'll create the video 10 times faster than what? And you and I both know. Okay, so everybody, I'm going to show you all something here on the screen. So I'm specifically talking to you all in the audience who are happen to be here. Okay, so you see this little fella? Okay, I'm going to try to do this, Brad. Right down here. See that face right there?
Yes.
Okay, that face right there is my face, but it's the avatar version. Look, I got it. All right, it's like that, but it's this guy down over here, right? That non-animated, non-speaking picture of me is often across several different automatic AI editors, often the thing that it shows. And then it gets so confused at times. This is Opus Clip now. It'll change people. It'll like flutter back and forth because it can't. It's so smart. It's like it'll do 20 edits in a second. Brad's face, this guy's face. This guy's face and me or whatever. And the edits are absolutely not anything anybody would ever go, I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
It's matter of fact, it's worse because it's so fast. It does even more shitty stuff so fast. It doesn't always suck. It does not always suck. But there's times when it'll just do that and it'll cut the edit point right there in the middle of a word. And I'm told that this is going to go viral, and it doesn't. It does. Right. Yes, it saves me time from doing something that I don't want to do, and I probably do it more reliably than I need to.
Well, you hit the point right there, Pete, and don't gloss over that point too much, because the tool that's there that generates a clip, it's actually generating a clip. If that tool weren't there, would you be generating a clip? And I think we can be honest with ourselves that that's really what's going on, and there's value in that, and then kind of step back and say, okay, well, I'm generating clips now. Now, how do I generate good clips?
Right.
right? And you could say, I mean, not to pick on Opus or whatever else. Look, they're not generating good clips. All right. And I think if you use it enough, you realize, okay, I'm not generating good clips, but I am generating clips. Okay, let's step back and let's say, what do I have to do to generate good clips? You know, we've talked about it offline, Pete. I think if you want to generate good clips, you probably got to do the work yourself.
Right.
Okay. Right. That's all right. Yeah. It doesn't mean you have to do the work. It means maybe you're not generating good clips. Maybe you're going to try to just brute force this with volume. And that's okay too, because sometimes that works for people.
Yeah. 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 And then here's the other conundrum in the world of I'm a creator, all that kind of thing. If I sit down and I dedicate, let's say I dedicate 5 hours of my workday, which this is easy to do, and I'm going to make 5 clips and put them into a publisher that's going to push them out to all my channels. So I've done this, right? I've done the right things. And after I click, because there's always more work to do. After you publish the clip, I've gone in and I've pinned a comment and I've done all of these things. I've SEO'd it, I've A/B tested it, all of these things. So now really I'm past 5 hours of work. And then fuck all happens. And so I'm like, what? Fuck all just happened, you know? And so then you run a business. You're like, well, why am I doing this? Oh, well, you have to build it. Am I even allowed to build this? There's no reliable path. You're just, and it's not even iterating. You're just, I don't know what the root is. You're just doing things, right? And so does that matter? Yes. No, I don't know. But you can't reliably go from A to B. There's always all this shit in between, so that I'm now told, and who knows if this shit is true, that on YouTube you post a clip and then you wait a day, which does seem to be a pattern that I see, and then the video will take off because now the AIs has evaluated that clip, and they're gonna now allow it to go out, and they're gonna push it to your audience, people that love your stuff. They're gonna push it out there, and then it'll do whatever it does, right? Okay, well, first off, I don't know what its criteria is. I don't know what it thinks my audience is. I'm told I have to train the YouTube AI, which I'm not allowed to know anything about. That's a tough way to run a business. I say, who cares about Pete? Let's just take Pete out of this. If you're trying to run a business and you're relying on your end, on your purchased AI, and you're going to have to communicate with some other entity's AI, I don't know how you do that, man, and reliably get a good outcome so you can steadily grow your business.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it either. I think this is where it helps to back up and say, hey, I'm a systems thinker. I've got a system in place that does this right now. Now, it's not doing everything for me that it should. Maybe there's some system in the future that I could drop in and replace for this. But, you know, I think this you know, from our private discussions, and I don't mean to out Pete here, you know, and out our private discussions, but this is definitely something that occupies Pete's mind and his time, which is, what do I do with these clips? I know I have to do them, but what do I do with them? But you know what? I think sometimes you need to step back and you say, you know what? It's good that I know I have to do them. And this is what I'm doing right now. And, you know, it's got its problems. It's not performing the way that I'd hoped it would perform. Something might come along that makes that better. And whether that's something automated, whether that's something AI, whether that's a way that I can actually do the work in a short amount of time and get a clip out, whether that's kind of, you know, mixing the models, and, you know, so I'm not sitting down for 5 hours to produce 4 clips. I'm sitting down for 20 minutes to produce 1 clip. You know, maybe there's something that comes in and you can adjust your system, but be a system thinker about it. And because you're a system thinker about it, you've already embraced the idea that clips are important. And I would call that a win. I mean, yeah, day to day, it's a pain in the ass. Call it a win. Call it a win. I'm going to segue to a thought I had in the shower today. You know, Pete texts me something about getting in the shower, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And it was a weird text, but that's all right. Because I'm here.
It actually was me typing fast while I was doing too many things at once. I said, jump on the show, right? But it came across this shower, and I looked at him like,
oh, there you go. Okay.
I'm just doing it.
Well, I actually had to get in the shower to get on the show. Otherwise, my hair would be all spiky and, you know, my face blotchy.
I wouldn't have cared if you took a shower or not. But yeah, whatever. That's the funny part, is I wasn't even trying to say that. But
that's even sometimes more hilarious. But I did have this thought in the shower, which is, you know, AI is this whole thing right now. We're kind of in this we're kind of in this spot of, is it worth doing? This is where business is right now. Is it? And there's this MIT study, you know, we talked about it with a guest a few weeks ago, MIT study saying that 85% of corporate AI initiatives are failing or have failed, which is astounding, because usually what they're framed as is not so much AI, but they're actually framed as infrastructure things. Like, they frame it as, I need to get my data in order so that it can be fed to AI. Like getting your data in order and structured data and things like that, or knowing how to deal with unstructured data, is a problem we've been trying to address with the IT industry for 20 years at this point. Jeez. And companies are still, they haven't done it. And this was an excuse to do it, right? It's like, we have to do this so we can use AI. So you can actually set your expectations for the product, right? But you can set them as a data thing, which is like, okay, we didn't do this project for so long. We really need to do it because all our competitors have done it. Why don't we just set that as that and we'll call it the AI project? How do you fail at that? This is a long tread road. We know how to do it. There's people who have been through, you know, 5 excursions, structuring data and organizing data and storing in the right place, and, you know, backing it up to what's it called? Iron Mountain, you know, so if all hell breaks loose, we get to our data, right? And having it in different clouds. So if, you know, if Amazon East goes down, we've still got it on Amazon West. Having it on-prem if we want to keep our data secure, blah, 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 right? This is all tried and true. We know how to do it. So all you had to do is specify your AI project as a data project, and it's a winner, right? Yeah. You don't even have to do any AI stuff. But, you know, of course, our IT bosses they're not thinking about winning. They're thinking about AI. Yeah. So they don't do this. And so only 15. Yeah. Go ahead, Pete.
I was gonna say, this gets me back to the business proposition about like, hey, do I need to do these shorts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to do, let's say I'm going to diligently do 5 hours a day, buy the book, following the YouTube guy. By the way, side note, the YouTube guy. And there's all kinds of TikTok people. There's a whole sub industry of like, this is how you erupt on TikTok. And it doesn't matter if their advice doesn't work or if it's accurate or if it's 2 weeks old. None of that matters, right? And so this guy trained his own AI. I trained my own AI,
right?
And to show you how to do this. So even though you can't talk to me because you don't want to pay me, you can talk to the next best thing, this AI version of me, based upon all of my notes, get the same answers that way. And I was like, oh my God, like, why am I listening to this person? Right. So that I'm going to come back to that. Remember the AI guide guy. Yeah. And look, God bless, like, do what you got to do. And it's going to work for somebody because some number of times all this shit sort of works. So I look at this and I go, am I going to spend 5 hours increasing the quality and the SEO nature of my clips? Or do I just say, fuck?
And one of us dropped out. I'm going to assume it's Pete because I'm getting feedback here. And Pete is going on with, do I spend the time following this advice, which is what the AI, this guy who says the AI told him so, or do I not spend the time? I mean, this is what I'm recommending. You got your system spot, right?
Let me back up and say this. So instead of like, my choices are just stop doing it and don't be putting to someone else. Don't have someone else put a workflow on me. That's the first thing. And then take that time and or money and put it into PR or put it into projects that are more reliable towards getting out of whatever this box is that I'm trying to solve. Why even choose the box, right? Or I can just downgrade and say, I'm just going to accept the shitty nature of the StreamYard product that does the same thing with AI, has the same faults, but it's just a lot more click, publish, go, right? And I can do that faster and just let that be the thing. Because again, I don't control the various algorithms, YouTube and TikTok. So, that's my question, Brad, is less about systems and more about a business decision. Is if I'm going to spend a year going crazy trying to solve this unsolvable puzzle, or do I just go meet the right people that'll fund a project that, we don't need any specific AI to do? So, or partner with somebody who's got a bigger audience than me and say, hey, help me get a bigger audience, and pay that person money and give that 5 hours of my time.
I mean, probably. Look, Pete, Fleetwood Mac said it best. Okay, if you add a comma or a period or an explanation point in between what they said, and it's just don't. Stop thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Put that period after don't. It all works out. Just don't stop thinking about tomorrow.
Okay.
You got this.
Right.
Right?
Don't
They didn't.
stop,
I don't think they intended that, but that is the perfect advice for all this tech stuff that's feeding you. Oh, AI is doing this, AI is doing that. You can do this better. You can do this. Like, find somebody who'll take responsibility and say, I'm going to make your channel work better.
Yeah.
Brad Hutchings am not going to make your channel work better. I mean, I haven't done it with my appearances here, but find some dude. So-and-so am going to make your thing work better. And they stop there. And that's the advice you want. Let me get back to my little story about data, because I think this also tells you something, Pete. So you could win your AI initiatives by just making them data initiatives and calling them AI initiatives and not doing any AI. Okay. And under the premise that if we do this data stuff, it will make the AI stuff possible. But here's what's actually happening for the people who actually did the data stuff is the AI is not any better because they did the data stuff. But your data is created, who created it, who's responsible for it. Eventually, hey, did AI have some hand in evaluating this data, tracking all that stuff the way that you should? Is when AI goofs it up, you can tell AI goofed this up. And so nobody's talking about that right now, that you're not preparing your data so that AI can evaluate your data. You're preparing your data so that it's resilient against AI, or resilient against bad employees who use AI that aren't supposed to, or resilient against other, maybe nefarious people who come in and try to access your data the wrong way, blah, 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 blah. That's what you're doing. And that would be a successful AI project too, because I can take this AI stuff that doesn't always give me a good answer, and I can build a system where that's okay. Because I can see, hey, this isn't giving me a good answer. Somebody's evaluated the answer and said, this ain't any good. Go generate another one. Right. And then we finally get a good answer. And
how do you put that to work practically? I'll give you
an example. Here's what I do. I have a system. It's got customer data. It's got a way to do some AI thing on the customer data, evaluate this guy's account. And so I have it evaluate the account. It makes me a summary. It gives me some information, whatever else. I human being who is familiar with the account, I read through the summary. I read through the examples it gives. I say, is this a good summary? Is this good examples of what it gives? Is it giving me good advice at the end? If it is, I hit accept, and then it's been human reviewed. Okay. If it isn't, I say, nah, this ain't it. And everybody's like, well, why wouldn't you just have a human do it? Because it might take the human 5 hours to produce that and say an hour to review it. And yet the AI can produce it in seconds. And then I review it for an hour. I've saved 4 hours. Or even if I have to do it twice, I've saved 3 hours. If I have to do it 3 times, I've still saved 2 hours. If I have to do it 4 times, you're following the math on this, I've still saved an hour.
Yeah.
Right. And then I didn't have the blank page problem of, okay, I've got this. I've got to write a summary of this. What's it going to look like? Oh, is it going to be in the same format? I always do these things. Am I really copying from a template and just putting the template in and not really looking at the data? I can trust the machine to kind of look at the data and incorporate it into the template. I can always trust it to do that. Now, is it going to do a good job at that? Probably can't trust it to do that. Human being who doesn't want to sit there and work, wants to go to lunch, they're not going to do the work. Right. So but I could depend on that human being to review it and say, yeah, this kind of summarizes what I'm doing. By the way, Pete, that's the story with the summary thing. And what I've tried to, when I try to show an example of the Dan White episode summary, which is AI can summarize, but you can't just let it summarize. You have to have somebody who is knowledgeable about the material being summarized to review what the AI summarizes and make a yes or no decision on whether that summary is good. Send it back or do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And even like when I try that thing just so I can kind of tell you, hey, it's working like this on Grok or whatever. If I don't tell it that Dan White is in that episode and P.A. Turner, it doesn't know. It doesn't know.
Your data there is not structured very well. It's just a transcript that doesn't like the way we get it from YouTube, it doesn't identify the speaker at each point. So it's just this long continuous text. It doesn't say when Pete talks and when Dan talks. Right. So it just has to evaluate that. And it, you could tell it beforehand, hey, Pete's talking and Dan's talking, and you have to figure it out. I mean, maybe that kind of helps, but probably doesn't. In the video example I do of it, I'm not going to do it here because I don't have it prepped, but in the video example I do of it with the Mojo Complete tool, running on Mojo server, running on a Mojo Knowledge appliance, not this one because it's slow. I do paste in the transcript. I then cut out the transcript. I have a little menu item that cuts out those transcript things that tell you, the timestamps and stuff like that, right? Shortens it. And it makes it more understandable. Then I put a preamble on it. This is an episode of the Breaking Down Show podcast hosted by Pete Turner, blah, 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 blah. Then I append instructions at the bottom. Please summarize this, for a short summary I could use as a description of this on the YouTube video itself. Right. And somewhere in there, it still doesn't get, even though I tell it Pete is the host, it still doesn't get the Pete's the host. It decides Dan's the host. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
That problem scales up from, little Gemma 1B,
sure.
Gemma 4B to Grok.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I do run the transcript, and keep in mind, I was there for the episode. I'll read it and I'll be like,
Isn't that the point though? You're knowledgeable about what's there so that you can look at the summary and you can decide. Now, somebody who's just, you episode, they can't tell you. Right. That's messed up.
Yeah.
But that's how we have to use AI. We have to use it as, I'm going to generate a possible solution and somebody knowledgeable can tell me if this is a good solution to carry on. We have to have that human in the middle, as they call it.
Absolutely. And here's one of the risks with this is, here's what.
Pete went robot and then froze. He'll be back. He was talking about the risks of doing this. I'm going to tell you what I think a risk is I think a risk is that the human who's asked to check just mails it in and says that it's okay. Like we have to be resilient against that. And again, prepare your data, keep track of who's doing what. Pete's back. Finish your point, Pete. What's the risk?
Well, so here's what AI does. It tends to do this to you, and it only does it by self-selection. So we decide, like, that answer's good. And I'll be crass here for a second. It'll say, my, oh my, you've got a large penis and your skin is so nice and your muscles are supple. And you're like, that's right. That's right.
That's right. Yeah. I like
it. And so, it will give you the answer. It'll give you an answer. And if you like that answer, guess what? You like the answer. And it makes it more truthful. And so it's not, no matter how many supercomputers and how much NVIDIA programming and product you use, it's not actually truth seeking. It's just answer providing. Or isn't that right? That's what you've taught me?
Absolutely. Yeah. Truth seeking is, that's not possible with this technology. Like when Elon says that, I think, okay, well, I like that you think that's a neat thing, but that's not really a neat thing. It's not a thing you can do.
Right. So back to the practical application of these things. I'm a lawyer. I run a law firm. What am I doing? Am I having like boilerplated legal briefs, that, hey, have my legal secretary do their job, and say, hey, prepare this brief for me, and use whatever, word perfect AI robot named Christopher or whatever it is.
You need.
And and then don't do all that boilerplate typing, that stuff that's in every single one. Let's just get the details, read the brief, make sure it's good, tighten it up, and then give it to me.
So we've been doing legal briefs, computerized legal briefs for a long time. I mean, I did that as a project in 1992 at Pacific Bell. Contracts. Okay. So this is not anything new. I mean, this is not like using computers to do these things is not anything new, but we had specific logic to deal with specific facts that were in these contracts that we generated. Like you couldn't generate a sentence in the contract that was a bad sentence or did something incorrect or whatever else. That was the point, right? It wasn't made up token by token where that could, errors could slip in, hallucinations could slip in. that wasn't done. So I think asking an LLM to generate one of these is a step backwards. Like, we know how to do this. Why don't we just do it the way we know how? Then we don't have these truth problems. The thing is that what the LLM is good for is it's good for generating things. So if I need a summary of something, I just like a summary that, say a human being could read rather than, a lawyer. Lawyers are human, but they kind of lose a gene on the way to getting their JD or whatever happens. Debatable. But so, regular human beings could read. I think that's okay. Like, take the truthful legal brief, have it summarized in 3 sentences with its main points so that somebody could read. That's okay. Of course, have somebody review that summary and make sure that it's good before you send it out. Right.
Right.
I think that's a good use. And that could save a lot of time. Like, it solves the blank page problem. Right. Yeah. It's like, summaries are a giant blank page problem. I've got all this knowledge here, all these facts here. Okay, what's important to communicate in 3 sentences? That's a really tough decision. So we got AI that can take lots of attempts at that, and then you can pick the best one. Maybe you pick the best one of 10 and you send it out. Or maybe you decide, hey, these 10 aren't good. I've got to fall back to doing this myself. And so you summarize it yourself, and hopefully you don't have to do that too often. And yeah, I mean, but when you start putting facts in things and links and ground level truth, not like big picture truth, but ground level truth, yeah, these are never going to do well at that. They're not designed to do well at that, and we should avoid that. We should definitely.
When a big corporation falls into these same traps, right? So we're talking about Pete, right? We're talking about a lawyer, right? We're talking about small businesses here. When a giant business that has a brand, and we talked about this, I guess it was yesterday, where is it more about the brand, or is it more about the project, right? And so talk to me about how do big businesses struggle with it? If 85% of these things are failing, right? What's that look like?
Well, I mean, it's first off, it's a management failure. The guest we were hoping to have today, I think we could have gone into great depths of this, about what you're managing, what level you're managing. Are you getting too involved at the ground level? Those kinds of things. So there's that problem. I think another problem is that AI is asking this big AI thing, what it's asking everybody who participates in it. And what I mean by participating in it is opening up a browser and pasting in a prompt. Is I'm asking you, like, if I'm AI and I want things to be done right, which I don't think, big AI and tech industry doesn't have that on their agenda at all. Everything's done right. They're interested in selling tokens. That's what they're interested in. But if I want things to be done right, I need you to be a philosopher. I need you to understand what knowledge you're putting in, what knowledge is being generated and how it's being generated, and what to expect at the output, and then how to evaluate what's output versus what I expected. That's a philosopher kind of thing. So I'm trying to think to my own occupation or my own training, computer scientist, and we definitely have some things where we border on philosophy rather than practice. So let me give you an example that a lot of people know about. They know about O notation. O notation is how you decide how efficient, in a very, very, very general mathematical sense, an algorithm is. So an algorithm that's O of n squared is less efficient, in a general mathematical sense, than an algorithm that's O of n or O of n log n. Now, in practice, like let me give you an example of this. I know it's way in the weeds. Quicksort, which is a worst case O of n squared algorithm, generally outperforms and is easier to implement than something like merge sort or heap sort, which are O of n log n. Now that's a weird thing. You have to understand that it's a philosophical thing we're talking about, this O of whatever, not necessarily, that doesn't necessarily apply to the practical level. And so if you tell me, hey, implement an efficient algorithm for sorting, I'm going to go to quicksort every time, even though that's not like the philosophically efficient algorithm. In practice, it's going to be the most efficient algorithm. Isn't that weird? So what I need you to do is if I'm AI and you're like using AI, is I need you to think that thing through, which is, what do I have here? What am I asking you? What do I expect? What do you deliver? And to handhold through that whole process of asking the question. Now, if I go to somebody, some, Joe user, Joe teacher, I mean, there's like I read a post yesterday, and this is a leader, a real leader on LinkedIn in educational AI. And she is talking about how teachers are they're uploading their grade logs and asking for summaries of the grade logs so they can assign a final grade. And I look at this and I'm like, oh my God, like the first student that you fuck doing that, like they need to have your job. Like you do not need to be teaching. Like the first student who aces all their quizzes and whatever else, and ChatGPT, because of your prompt or because it just does random crap, says they get a B+ for the course, and that knocks down their GPA and they don't get into Berkeley. Like I want them to have recourse against your life. Like that is right. That's life-changing stupidity that you impose on this student, right? You need to be working at Burger King. This is inexcusable. And yet this is the state of the art with AI and education. This is what everybody's pushing them toward. This is, hey, you're being efficient. You're not doing the grade book yourself, and you're not spending, I don't know let's just call it $2,000 a teacher seat on grading software anymore. You're letting OpenAI do it for you.
Yeah,
and it's going to mess it up. And you as a teacher do not have the philosophical discipline to know that that's happening. You trust the tool too much. You trust the answer too much.
Yeah.
And this is the hole we are digging ourselves right now.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's all part of this like created, imposed workflow passion, towards like systematizing everything. Cars drive better than humans in a lot of cases. And okay, yeah, that's all right. But look at all the context that cars require. More paint on the road, more lights to read, more control over the system. And so look, that's the way we're going, and maybe that makes things better. But also maybe not,
Well, let's talk about less paint on the road, less whatever and all that stuff. Okay, let's assume that's not happening. Let's take the Tesla model of driver automation.
Right.
Okay. So the Tesla model from their data, and nobody's challenged their data and said this is why it's rigged or whatever else. Nobody said, well, this has an inherent bias because people who can afford a Tesla are just better drivers. Okay. They have less deaths and accidents per mile, like far less under what they call their full driving mode. Full self-driving.
FSD.
Right. FSD. They have better rates of these things. Like when you add up the miles, add up the accidents, they are way safer on that than normal people driving themselves. Like it's ridiculous how much safer. Okay. But then at the same time, you hear about these things like, okay, this thing under FSD did not see this truck that was overturned with 5 people standing on top in the middle of pitch dark. It didn't anticipate that this was going to happen on the freeway, and 2 people died. And so do we accept the gain that we can get, the gain in efficiency, if you will, that it gives us, or do we demand perfection? And the thing is, we have to take the win. We have to know how to take the win, but be cognizant that, hey, maybe it only does reach 99%. But that 99% it reaches gives us a lot. Maybe you can't sit and talk on your phone and look at your phone and do a podcast with Pete. I'm not doing that while I'm driving right now, as you can tell by my background here with the cartoon doghouse and yard. I'm not driving, but like, let's say I was, right? Is that a safe thing to do? Absolutely not. No. Right. We need to, this is like the big challenge with being AI users, or machine learning users or anything else, is like knowing what's good, what it's good for, knowing what it's not good for, and taking the wins on what it's good for, and not taking the losses on what it's not good for. That's what each individual has to figure that out, because there's no way not to have that there's no way not to have that control that we know in the hands of the individual.
Okay, I hear all that. Who's proving to reliably accept that, though?
Nobody.
And I'm not saying you're wrong, but again, it just told me I have a giant cock, and I'm like, yes. And if you say these words, so whatever these positive things, like, yes, more, please.
Yeah,
give me the virality. I want it all.
I can only tell you about my own journey with AI, and my own journey is that obviously I came in sort of skeptical because I've seen a lot of things that were overhyped before. Okay, but I also came in saying, hey, this thing is generating answers, and then I get kind of curious. Okay, how is this thing generating answers? What it's doing, and then I sort of find out behind the scenes how things are working. The illusion of chat, right? The way I discovered that, Pete, I've recounted it on your podcast before, but I was working with a system called Private GPT. This was my first attempt at trying to do private LLMs, and I would type something into it, and it would go and complete our conversations, like the whole conversation, my side too. And I'm like, what the hell's up with that? How does it's trying to read my mind? Well, no, that's actually what it's doing. And so I've demonstrated on your podcast before. Here, this is how chat works. It really wants to complete the conversation. The favorite comment I get on it is, it's like a little male dog. It wants to hump your leg. That's what it wants to do. Okay.
Right.
And but that's what it does. And then what we do is we insert stop words or stop tokens to tell it, hey, it's the other guy's turn. You have to let the other guy talk.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like me talking over you during, a podcast, right? It's literally me talking, and then I'm going to do my Pete voice. I'm going to do my Pete voice. Okay, I'm Brad. I've got, I'm really excited about AI. Well, what do we do about all the problems with AI? Okay, that's what the LLM is doing.
I like it.
So that's supposed to be your headphones, Pete.
Yeah, no, I got it. I like it. It's like this is always a mustache, right? And this is a Hitler mustache, whatever. Right. Yeah, you do all of your pantomimes to make your story better. That was funny.
My voice imitation is not very good, but I did nail the headphones.
No, but I like it. It was fun.
Right. I know.
Definitely enjoyed that.
That's what it's doing. But see, this is my journey, was understanding technically what's behind it, and then saying, okay, if this is what's technically behind it, this is not smart.
Yeah. We used to have this conversation. So I'm curious where this one goes now, because we both have learned quite a lot we this.
Yeah.
And you know way more than I do, because you understand the ABCs and the O's and ones behind all this stuff. Yeah. But we used to talk about creating a patrol report, right? So Pete goes into the village, talks to the village elder, and is like, here's what happened. And I write it all down. And we disagreed on what an AI could do, right? Because I'm saying, like, no, but I did the thing. I've got to read the notes. I've got to recall the conversation. Oh, and by the way, I'm counting how many chickens are in the village, because sometimes that's important to people, so they understand, like, these people aren't starving or whatever it is, right? So I'm adding all of this in, plus I'm adding context in there. And you were saying, no, we can do it. And so we were disagreeing on that. What are your thoughts now? Like, if I go into a village, and a village can be like, if I go to Gallup, New Mexico, and I have coffee with someone at a diner on my way across country or something, and I write something, then I have to be spy stuff, and I want to write that story. That I have all of the proper knowledge to do that. There's no AI that can do that. Am I still correct in thinking that?
You're absolutely correct in thinking that. What you also have is you have the blank page problem, and this is I think where this would be a good time, like, rewind and watch this again, and then go forward if you're watching the tape, because we talk about the blank page problem a lot. I think that's probably the killer app of generative AI right now, is the blank page problem. It doesn't have to be like, what we're saying is that something with a bunch of words on it, regardless of how good or bad those words are, is more valuable than a blank page where nothing has been written down, or your raw notes where they're just raw notes and somebody would have to go through and interpret and probably talk to you about them, those kinds of things, right? If I have something written down about it, I'm in a better spot than if I got the blank page. If I have to write that down, man, that's a tough human problem. If I have a machine write it down, even if it's bad, even if it mixes up the facts and whatever else, well, I've got something to work with. I've got something to evaluate. And the fact that I can generate so quickly means I can give it a cursory evaluation without taking up a lot of time. And, again, we go into this thing about, let's say it takes me 5 hours to write one of these things, but it only takes me an hour to evaluate it. I could repeat this 3 times and be more efficient in the process than if I did it myself. And that's really where we are with AI. Give me candidates I can evaluate.
Yeah.
And I'll evaluate them.
What else are you thinking about with all of this AI stuff? And I guess let's just pitch Brad for a second here. So your company's like, we got an AI thing, we're going to make the AI. Donald Trump said so. All right. So
so two big problems, two huge problems with AI as we understand it today and we use it today. Number one is the cloud, and all it does is it's very inviting to go and throw private data, whether it's your personal private data, whether it's your proprietary corporate data, whether it's data about your customers that's personal and private to them, is to throw it in the cloud where terrible things can happen to it. Like, cloud company can overshare. ChatGPT or OpenAI with ChatGPT was caught doing that through Google Drive this summer, where they were just default sharing stuff, and it was ending up on Google Drive. And sorry, I did not mute that. I'm going to mute that. Okay. So we got that. That data can also be discoverable by attorneys because it's there, right? So OpenAI gets sued, and your data, for whatever reason, is discoverable. There's some federal district judge that's put a 30-day hold on every piece of data that gets uploaded to OpenAI right now. They're still under that order. So even if you say this is private, I don't want this to leak out, I've set all the settings I'm supposed to set and everything else, well, it's still discoverable by a lawyer because it's there, right? There's the hacker problem. There's people want to hack in and just get the data. And that's a tough problem. We never solved the hacker problem before, and we haven't solved it yet. And we're not going to solve it because AI. Somebody has the master password to get in, and somebody's let in a backdoor or whatever else. Well, guess what? They got your data.
Right.
Yeah. So how are
worse clients' data?
Right, your clients' data. How are nefarious people going to use that? I think you can. What you can assume is they're going to be nefarious. That's what you can assume.
Yeah.
And that's not a great assumption. So we got this cloud problem. The second problem we have is we're stuck in this fake chat. Metaphor is the wrong word. Illusion is the right word.
Okay.
Where we think we have to talk to a machine in order to get an answer, and that's not actually how the machine works. I've demonstrated it. What I present on my own stuff is a completion space where you write, and the machine takes its turn and it completes what you write. And when it's done, there's no distinction between what you wrote and the machine wrote. It's a shared whiteboard. And I think that's a better metaphor for things, so that you don't think, well, I'm stupid, the machine's intelligent. You don't get that thought in your head that you're talking to an expert. You sort of get this thought in your head, well, I've got all these things that are just sort of contributing to it. I contribute some, it contributes some. If I don't like what it adds, I can go and edit what it adds, and I can tell it to restart from here. It's a much more dynamic thought process, and we need to be there with how we work with these things. Chat user interfaces have caused death. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, my old hometown of Rancho Santa Margarita, it was the first, it was a kid who's 16 commits suicide like 7 months after first using ChatGPT to help him with his homework. And then the ChatGPT is telling him, how to kill himself. Right. And his parents are suing OpenAI over that right now. And there's like 7 or 8 other lawsuits in the US, similar outcomes. And what's going on? Everybody says, well, the models need to be more safe. We need to have guardrails. We need to do this. We need to do that. No, that is not the problem. The problem is that the user starts to think they're talking to a real human being. We have therapists who are using ChatGPT to do online their online therapy. Rather than doing the work themselves of evaluating what the person is saying, getting into their mental state, they put it into Chat GPT and they read the answers. Like somebody,
beep, you feel better.
some dude recorded his Zoom session where you could see it. You could see this guy who's a licensed therapist using, just phoning it in and using Chat GPT to get answers and read them to the guy. So we got like fake people now.
Right.
And that's
Sigmund Freud says you're crazy. Don't
Pete,
believe that.
I'm not a big therapy guy. Like,
yeah.
You ask me what it is to begin with, it's you're gonna get it's total bullshit. But and there's people like me, okay, it's a valid opinion. But mix in a robot in this equation, whether you know it's a robot or not, whether you're pretending it's a robot, you're pretending it's human being, mix all that in, and you just double the space in all vectors, all directions. You're doubling the space of bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a good thing. The chat interface is that. And then, of course, I'm like the guy, the end is near. The chat interface is bad. Okay, 6 months from now, you guys are going to be like, oh, Brad's kind of right about that. So he's not very nice about it, but he's definitely right about it. And then maybe in an ideal world, 2 years from now, most people will think, okay, this chat thing it's cute that you do it, but this isn't a good way to get information to me.
Yeah,
that's what I'm sort of hoping.
Well, listen, I appreciate you helping me cover down on the Rob Collins episode. We'll get Rob back on.
So yeah.
That's how these things work sometimes. And anyway, it was fun to chat with you about all this stuff and to get caught up. But
I do sell these things. Let me close with me. I do sell these things. You go to mojo.net. Find me on LinkedIn. That's really the best way. And if you want one of these things, I could personally build it for you to meet your specs and your budget. These I'm selling for about $300. These I would sell for like $400, but they don't perform as well as these. So I'm probably going to skip on this. But, you want a Mac Mini, which would be super fast. You want you want something based on AMD's new AI chips that would be super fast. Okay, you're probably in the $1,500 to $2,000 range there. But, I know how to build those. That's in my space of being able to build because I'm investing in the tooling.
If I wanted to send my sales staff out into the field and I wanted to give them proprietary AI that's not cloud-based to help them write proposals, whatever it is, right? I mean, say, hey, I want you to have that proposal, right? You don't leave, bam, right there, right?
Yeah. Throw this in their truck. You could do that. You could have proprietary AI. You could also run it on their laptops. I don't know that having your own training is really doing any good. These things are a little bit more, they're a little better for knowing the language than they are for a specific thing you ask them to do. But it's a nice prop, at least. Pete froze again. It's okay. Yeah, anyway, find me on LinkedIn, Brad Hutchings, BradHutchings. Find me at mojo.net. Mojo.net is going to get a little facelift to, to sort of the whole picture of what I do, not just selling appliances. Yeah. And, if you're really interested in trying something, you're like, hey, I'd love to build an open source project. The Mojo server project, again, link for link. Good place to try. Like I tried to make it so regular people could actually build software. Like it's usually just nerd stuff, but I tried to make it, a little bit more accessible. So maybe I have
nerd stuff. Yeah, right. Yeah. No, all right. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. We'll get Rob next time. We've got Brad right here doing awesome stuff. Go support Brad. Go check him out. He's on X as well. LinkedIn, X. Those are the best places to get him. And if you can't find him, email me, Pete@breakitdownshow.com, and we'll get a hold of him. Anything else at all, Brad, before I push this stop button?
Nah, it's